Friday, May 22nd, 2010. An apartment complex caretaker watched the CCTV footage from the night before. Not knowing if what he saw was fake, he watched it multiple times to confirm that it was real. What he saw would haunt him forever. He witnessed Stephen Griffith committing a crime so heinous that not even the police believed what they saw when the tapes were turned over to them. This is the story of Stephen Griffith, the crossbow-wielding scholar who had an appetite for humans. Born Stephen Sean Griffith on December 24, 1969 in Dewsbury, Yorkshire, the future serial killer showed a fascination with violence from an early age. When Griffith was young, he sometimes watched his mother have relations with multiple men in their backyard. He also had a disturbing habit of conducting malicious acts on birds. By the time he was 18 years old, Griffith had begun regularly shoplifting until one incident at a supermarket ended with Griffith slashing the store manager with a knife, landing him in jail for 3 years. In 1991, Griffith was diagnosed as a sadistic schizoid psychopath. He reportedly said he believed that he would one day become a killer. So in 1992, he would return to jail. Eventually in the mid-2000s, Griffith would attempt to turn his interest in killing into a legitimate vocation, beginning a graduate degree in homicide studies at the University of Bradford, a project that he would take disturbingly, literally. He would say disturbing things about humanity, making people think that he was playing or joking, but in actuality, he wasn't. His neighbors in the Bradford apartment building he lived in would initially see him as a curiosity, dubbing him the Lizard Man, after observing him regularly taking his lizards on leash walks while sporting slick back hair, sunglasses, and a trench coat. But his erratic behavior and aggressions towards some of the building's female residents led to increased complaints. The property managers began collecting information to pass on to the police, and also implemented improved CCTV coverage on the property. After Griffith was discovered reading books on human dismemberment, the library alerted his apartment managers. With a long record of violence and clear interest in serial killers, Griffith had been on the radar of local police for years, and authorities had already confiscated several weapons from him on an earlier occasion. Unfortunately, they didn't see that Griffith was about to turn his twisted passions into reality. Stephen Griffith's PhD research was focused on homicide in industrial areas, a reflection of the exact crimes he was committing, targeting women in the Bradford area's red light district. Griffith's first known victim was a 43-year-old streetwalker named Suzanne Rushworth. Rushworth disappeared shortly after getting off a bus in Bradford in June 2009. Few of the details were known about her disappearance, and no parts of Rushworth's body had ever been found. Almost a year passed before Griffith struck again. In late April 2010, Shelley Armitage disappeared after heading to walk the streets to make her money. Griffith reportedly filmed all the disturbing things he did to her on his phone, before taking a train to dispose of her remains in the nearby river. Surprisingly, he lost the phone not long afterward, leaving it on the train, where it was found and the footage discovered before it eventually made its way to the police. On May 21, 2010, Griffith found another victim, Suzanne Blamires. Griffith met Suzanne, who was also a street worker. When he met her, he told her that he was a photographer. He convinced her that he would take her photos and make her famous. At 2:30 a.m. and 32 seconds, Griffith is seen with Suzanne outside of his apartment. At 2:30 a.m., 46 seconds, Griffith and Suzanne are seen waiting for an elevator to go up to his floor at 2:30 a.m. and 50 seconds. Griffith and Suzanne are seen on the elevator, 2:31 a.m. and 38 seconds. Griffith and Suzanne are seen conversing in the hallway on the way from the elevator to Griffith's apartment at 2:34 a.m. and 26 seconds. Griffith is seen chasing Suzanne down the hallway as she escaped his apartment with a crossbow in his hand at 2:34 a.m. and 30 seconds. Griffith is seen grabbing Suzanne, who is out of frame. Suzanne was caught and knocked unconscious by Griffith. Griffith went to retrieve his crossbow, returned, and put it through her head, immediately taking her life. But as Griffith dragged his final victim back to his apartment, he saw the CCTV camera in the hallway and realized the building security system had recorded the whole thing. Unfazed, Griffith raised his middle finger defiantly toward the camera as he passed before returning to his apartment. Later, Griffith's apartment complex caretaker was horrified to witness the brutal scene while reviewing the weekend's footage and quickly alerted the authorities. In the time between his final murder and the eventual arrest, Griffith had managed to eat parts of and dispose of Blamires' remains. When police arrived at Griffith's apartment to arrest him, he was reportedly calm, almost emotionless from then on. In interviews with the police, Griffith would say that he killed more women than the 3 known victims. When he first appeared in court and was asked to identify himself, he responded to crossbow cannibal. He reportedly told police that he had eaten parts of his victims, sometimes raw and sometimes cooked. For a time, Griffith became a suspect in the unsolved case of Rebecca Hall, a 19-year-old killed and dumped in an alleyway in 2001. But no definitive proof was found, and Griffith wasn't talking. On December 21, 2010, Griffith pled guilty to and was convicted of the murders of Suzanne Rushworth, Shelley Armitage, and Suzanne Blamires. The circumstances of these murders are so wicked and monstrous that they leave me in no doubt the defendant should be kept in prison for the rest of his life. That's what the judge said. Stephen Griffith was sentenced to life in prison, where he remains to this day with no possibility of parole. But for the families of his victims, it did little to heal the suffering that he had caused. One of the family members said, "I wake up and I think about my bright, articulate, and much-loved daughter every day." This is the story of Stephen Griffith, the crossbow cannibal. Nightmare Files.